Hello and welcome to Insight. I am Elizabeth Omori. Duty calls for my co-presenter Nandi Odipo. On this edition, several issues are before us. We will begin with meeting Sustainable Development Goal 1, which aims to end poverty in all of its forms everywhere by 2030. It involves several approaches, including improving education and healthcare, ensuring access to clean water, promoting gender equity, and fostering inclusive economic growth through policies like social protection and job creation. How feasible is realizing this goal? What are we doing as a nation and continent to achieving this goal? You will find out on the program. We'll also be looking at the media, unionism, and digital tools. What is the correlation? How can the media thrive in an evolving world where artificial intelligence is penetrating all sectors? Still on our radar. Now, business failure is not new at all in Nigeria. What is more striking is that startups and small businesses face this problem more than big businesses. And so, we will be recalling a conversation on thriving businesses. So, once again, welcome to Insights.
Whatever the issues are,
the National Assembly is constitutionally empowered to scrutinize,
however complex or intricate.
We have involved all the academia, the members of the academia. We have involved the academies.
Be it government's policies or in fact any issue of public concern.
Our job is to help you gain clarity and make sense of it all.
This is not really healthy for our democracy.
There's a lot of agreements in terms of who has been in power longest and who becomes the governor of the state.
It's also in the quality of food being consumed.
After all, perception is insight.
And gaining understanding is also getting insight.
Poverty eradication refers to efforts and strategies aimed at completely eliminating poverty, a condition where individuals or communities lack the financial resources to meet basic needs such as food, shelter, healthcare, and education. It is one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDG 1. Poverty is multifaceted in Africa, affecting access to education, healthcare, clean water, and economic opportunities, with a significant portion of the population living below poverty line. Ending poverty before 2030 is a focus on this segment, and my guest, Engineer Nelson Ogohi, Executive Director, Effort Leadership Innovation Initiative, who is also a business coach, will speak to us. Coach Nelson, thank you so much for joining us on Insights.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now, poverty, what is your position about poverty?
Well, talking about poverty, there is a lot that comes to play. As a matter of fact, it is a reason why there's certain cliches, a certain nomenclature that are used for some of us. For instance, you hear things like the third world countries, you hear some things like second class, underdeveloped, and all of those nomenclatures just pointing to the fact that we have more people living under the poverty line in these areas, in these places. And then when you come down to the micro level in country, you begin to look at the different states, you look at of course, we had at some point where we began to talk about the fact that there's something called a multi-dimensional poverty, right, in Nigeria, meaning that the poverty is multifaceted, affecting different categories of people and in different ways. All right, so poverty is something that I think we need to give more attention to. And as a matter of fact, when we talk of development, every development, and good as it is, the SDG goals, we have that the first one is actually poverty reduction or poverty eradication, which tells you how important and how much of a priority it is. Poverty is so endemic in this part of the world that, you know, we've heard all manner of stories about people who have died as a result of poverty. Those who have, you know, dropped out of school because they couldn't take care of themselves, they couldn't pay their way through school. They're different, it's all sorts when it comes to poverty. And that's the reason why talking about poverty is so so intense. And not just that, it's something we should all give attention to. And that's the reason why I'm here to talk with you on poverty reduction. It is possible, it can be done, but all hands have to be on deck, and we need to look at since it's multidimensional, we also need to look at a multidimensional approach towards eradicating poverty by 2030.
By 2030. All right. Now, you know, when we talk about poverty, certain issues, factors actually lead to poverty. Now, for any developing countries, what could be the factors?
The factors are numerous. Some of the factors range from both, we would call them at the community level, we have community factors. At the family level, we have family factors. At the individual level, we have individual factors. Then, of course, at the governmental level, we have governmental factors. You know, one of the things that people always say is that Nigeria is so rich in mineral resources. We have a lot. As a matter of fact, Nigeria does not have any business doing with poverty when you look at what God has blessed us with as a people and as a nation, right? But the challenge has always been, how does that, right, the potentials that we have, given the natural mineral resources that we have, how does that translate into making Nigeria and Nigerians rich, you know? So economic factors will come to play, and begin to talk about micro and macroeconomics at the national level, at the government level, and then a sub-regional, sub-government levels, and then down to individuals. So we want to talk about factors. We'll begin to talk of, for instance, we'll begin to talk about education. Because education opens up the mind, education gives you what the necessary knowledge is, because there are three levels basically. We have the knowledge, we have the skills, and then we have the empowerment, which comes by resources or financial empowerment and all of that. But when there is no education, which is at the base level, many people who are not educated, even though some of them have learned how to go to farm or go to do some trading businesses in the marketplaces and all of that, it does not really transcend into being called a rich person or someone who is doing well favorably in the society. So there are many factors. Education is one of them. Lack of it. We know that many people also lack some kind of skills. When there's no skill, there's no development of skills. People just live on. I go to the park sometimes, and you're traveling, and you see some of these young men whose daily feeding, daily livelihood come from maybe carrying loads, helping to push trucks and all those kind of things, right? Now, most times when you look at it, because there are more people in this category who are not skilled, who have not learned a skill or another to help them, become favorably either employed or become self-employed and stuff like that, it becomes difficult for them. So we begin to also talk about other national factors. There are no jobs in town, there's unemployment, and many other stuff like that. So there are just many factors when we talk about poverty. Many factors. Yeah.
All right, I'm impressed with your explanation, but you made a statement. What actually makes a country rich?
Wow, that's a very, very... it's a deep question, right? And I like to come to it from a different perspective. What makes a country rich is a combination of things, not just one thing. A combination of, first of all, the quality of the people that you have in the nation. Okay. When we talk about riches, most times, we look more to our national resources. We even talk about our forex reserves. We talk about some of the other economic, in quotes, economic opportunities or potentials that a country has. That is actually not what makes a country rich. What makes a country rich is the quality of life of the people, the quality of the kind of people that the country produces. Now, when you look at them, you begin to note, are there people who, in this country, how many people have control? I give an example. Because when we talk of poverty, one of the things we need to look at is that what poverty does is that it takes control from the hands of people. What it does is that it makes them powerless when it comes to decision making. It makes people not to be able to respond favorably to the questions of life. And that's because poverty takes away control. But once control is handed over to the people through empowerment, what happens is that the people themselves begin to live a qualitative life. Right? Now, I talk of Singapore sometimes. We all talk about Singapore. Singapore is not a country that has many natural resources. As a matter of fact, they are not, it's just one island, encompassed with water and all of that. But the quality of people, their labor force, their workforce, the kind of people that come out of there, you know, when you meet with them, you can tell that's why their economy is one of the best, if not the best in the world. Because they invest in the people. So whatever resource you have, if you have not learned to invest in your people, what happens is that you've taken control from the hands of the people and put in the hands of a few. Now, what happens with that is that the few will have the say every time. Okay? Is the reason why it's easy to draft people into crime, because control is taken out of them. It's taken from their hands. So the moment control goes back to the people through empowerment, people begin to become qualitative. Their lives become qualitative. And then we can now say that the nation is rich.
Okay. Now, in investing in people, is empowerment the only answer to ending poverty?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Empowerment is the answer to taking people out of poverty, to eradicating poverty, as we usually say. Now, the reason is because when it comes to people, it is not what you give to them to eat, to make them maybe satisfied per time, that makes them rich or that makes them live above the poverty line. What makes people live above the poverty line is the abilities that they've gotten, the wherewithal, the independence that make them go out to get for themselves what they need, to be able to fend for themselves, to be able to take care of their daily needs, to be able to put their children through school, to be able to put food on the table, to be able to help get a house, a shelter, a roof over their head. Now, these things come through empowerment. And when we talk of empowerment, we're talking of knowledge, we're talking of skills, and we're talking of resources. But most times, we focus too much on resources when we have not developed knowledge. Knowledge is the bedrock, is the foundation upon which every kind of empowerment must be based. And it's the reason why some of us have given our time and ourselves to that filling that gap. You know, there's a knowledge gap, right? We go to rural areas, we talk with people and get to realize that they don't even understand just little simple things about financial control. What does it mean to even have control over your finances? The little that you go to farm, many of these people go to farm. It will amaze you when you get to the rural areas, you get to the farmers and you see how much they actually can make from what they do. But because they're not exposed, they do not have the requisite knowledge that gives them that bedrock upon which they can strengthen their skills, and then resources can begin to flow. So it becomes difficult for them to move forward. Then we move from knowledge, you get to skills, and it's the reason why I'm excited sometimes when I begin to see what the government is doing in the areas of skill acquisition. We have the Skill Up, what they call it, Skill Up, right? Skill Up Artisan.
Yes.
Skill Up Artisans is one of the programs that the government is working on. There is the GEEP, G-E-E-P,
yes.
Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, and many of such. There is the LEAP also, Labor, Employment and Empowerment Program. So many of those kind of things. Now you see that what government is doing now is to focus on what really matters. The knowledge gap, the skill gap must be filled. It is only then that you can give resources that will become efficient. So people cannot use resources when they have not been trained on how to multiply money, for instance, how to make money, how to put money to use so that they can get returns out of it. Of course, there are other programs that are more resource-based. When we talk about the empowerment for SMEs and all of that. These are ongoing programs that the government is doing. And for me, this is what the people need. When you stratify them in the knowledge, the skill, and the resource at the top, you are going to get it right. The idea now is to see how we can multiply, increase it, expand the net, bring more people into it, and see how we can graduate when it comes to poverty eradication.
All right, yeah, you highlighted some of the national social investment programs that the federal government is using as safety nets to alleviate poverty. So how do we eradicate poverty before 2030? Because that's a target, and that's goal one of the goals. Is this realizable? Is this feasible?
Very difficult to answer, especially the last part of the question. It talks about the feasibility of it, the possibility of it. It's a yes and a no for me. If it is well propagated, if it is opened more, you know. One of the problems I have, and that's the reason why there is a no also, is that when it comes to poverty eradication and some of the social safety nets that the government has put in place, right? It is not just enough to put some of these things in place. Many times, because I work in this circle, it's easy to tell some of the little loopholes that are there when it comes to things like this. Sometimes the monitoring process, the monitoring and evaluation process, sometimes when we talk about the administration of it, another thing again is the transparency of it. Another aspect of it again is how does it actually get to the people that really need it? You know, our problem most times can be very multidimensional, in the sense that the government can have a good idea, push it out there, but the people that are running with it become the bottlenecks, or they create what we call a lead, such that you can't, you know, they just put everything in a box and it becomes difficult for every other person to access. Then the monitoring and evaluation processes, right? Then on the other hand is government alone cannot eradicate poverty. Oh no, government alone cannot eradicate poverty. The moment you leave it in the hands of government alone, we will have a problem. And the problem is that it will be insufficient. And insufficiency comes from the fact that it is not only government. Government, as a matter of fact, what government should do most times is to create programs like this, create empowerment opportunities, and then open up the space for other players to do their bit. There's a reason why we talk about riches and wealth, and many times we try to make a distinction. A rich man can bequeath riches to his child. Someone can give you money, you become rich. But wealth is not like that. Wealth is cultivated. Wealth is built.
You grind.
You push until you get there. So young people, if you are going through the trenches, it looks like it's difficult. The process actually would always be difficult.
It's difficult.
But there is a sure end. And the sure end is that you will be better off than the person who jumped over some of these things. Many of them have not learned many of the things that you are learning, and you're better off.
Engineer Nelson Ogohi, I want to thank you so much for joining us on Insight this week. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
For enlightening us. Thank you very much.
My pleasure being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Whatever the issues are,
The National Assembly is constitutionally empowered to scrutinize.
However complex or intricate.
We have involved all the academia, the members of the academia. We have involved the academies.
be it government policies or in fact any issue of public concern,
Our job is to help you gain clarity and make sense of it all.
This is not really healthy for our democracy.
There's a lot of aggrievance in terms of who has been in power longest and who becomes the governor of the state.
It's also in the quality of food being consumed.
After all, perception is insight.
and gaining understanding is also getting insight.
On this segment, a business management consultant provided insights into how small business owners can succeed and not become victims of failed businesses. Let's hear from Namdi and his guest.
My guest is Dr. Valentino Evans, a management consultant, executive coach, and leadership expert. He's also the managing director and chief executive officer of Black Belt Global Consulting. And he's here to help us, clear up some gray areas as regards these issues. Welcome to Insight, Dr. Evans.
Thank you for having me.
There are definitely and I came across lots of them in my research for this conversation, reasons why MSMEs, generally fail, but particularly in Nigeria. I heard at least 50% of these small businesses that they collapse in the first year of establishment, and nearly 80% of them fail within 5 years into their operations. I find, this, and of course, one other reason quite intriguing and germane, and that is that businesses or some businesses do not even know their market, do not even understand their value or the value of the services and products that they have to offer before they even establish an open shop. I would think that is the core foundation of any business. I mean, upon establishment or even before establishment, I beg your pardon. So I understand a bit about what business development service providers do. But I wonder if beyond creating business plans for whether for prospective or existing businesses, how business support systems, generally and truly equip entrepreneurs to get a good sense or better understand the nuanced needs of the Nigerian consumer and also subsequently help them effectively couch their messaging for them to be able to communicate whatever unique value that they have for the market.
Well, it's remarkable it's alarming actually if you look at the number of businesses that do fail right from the startup, from 1 year of inception into 5 years. It's really alarming. And most of them do not take cognizance of the fact that there are certain things which must be your non-negotiables or things that must be foundational to starting businesses that you must pay attention to. A lot of them do not even know it. And before you even start a business, like you said, you need to pay attention to what their minimum viable product is. That is their MVP. It's very important that you get to know that.
Does that also translate to their unique selling point?
Yes, it might initially translate to their unique selling point because put your best foot forward is what is being said. So if you actually from the onset know your whys you're coming into business, that will ultimately dovetail into the fact that you will be solving a problem. Business in itself is solving a problem. You are meeting a certain need in your community, in your locality, in your nation at large. You are meeting a need. And in meeting that need, you must have researched and found out an answer to a certain question. So that's what business is. It's not going to be circumstantial or because you are hungry, that's why you just started a business. No. It must be that you have encountered a problem and you know you are well equipped to actually solve that problem. That's what brings you into business. And then in going into business, you begin to know or develop a product to present to your community, to present to your world. And when that product is properly refined, properly given the right attention, and then the quality of that product gets to a stage whereby it can be presented to your world, then you can say that's a minimum viable product. Okay. Now, that's an initial. It might be the entry point into the market. Might be that entry point into the market is what will allow the market to receive you, allow the people to know what you do. Now, it might broaden up later in the future, but when you balance that, you will find out that focusing on that and putting all you have into that will definitely and ultimately make you a strong force and grind you into your locality. So you will be able to move that business to where it's meant to be. So you would definitely scale some hurdles that will, mitigate or cause your fall.
And again, I come back to you on the same question that I asked, because knowing all you've said is idyllic. I mean, in an ideal situation. You and I know there are people who get into businesses without knowing some of these facts, and that is why they fail in the first year of establishment, and more so, even when, okay, people come in to help and all of that, and then they still fail within the first 5 years of their establishment or operations, as it were. And so I raised the issue of the BDSP, and that's the business developers, development service providers, and how such services or, providers could also come in to help such, whether they are prospective or existing businesses, understand the nuanced value that they offer. How does that all fit into this conversation? I mean, what essentially does the BDSP does, especially when you find yourself in such a situation where you do not even understand in the first place the value you have for the market?
Okay, now, thank you very much for that beautiful question. Now, the thing is this. It's extremely important that we take cognizance of the fact that when a man is sick, he needs a doctor. Whether you are not even sick, you need to get your test done to know how your health is. Now, the person that can help you understand or know the health of your business is your business development service providers. In code, we call them BDSPs. Okay. Now, the work of the BDSP is to help you look at your business holistically. These are business doctors. They've been trained and equipped with the ability to be able to help navigate your business, help you navigate with your business. When you're going into business, you need an arm of your business, which is you call a HR specialist, to help you handle the human resource department. Now, the job of the BDSP involves or entails also helping you with your HR department. Now, it's a holistic thing entirely. We found out that many businesses that even get funding into their businesses right from the onset, whether it's a startup fund or whether you are doing your Series A or Series B, you are doing all that, money is coming in, but many of them fail because there are some certain critical factors and some certain key performance indexes that they actually cannot understand. And these indexes or these nuances they can come into play when you have or employ the services of a BDSP.
Is it true that it is quite dangerous for a business to mix personal funds with, or use business funds to meet personal needs? I would think that the whole essence for me running a business is so that I can address my personal needs. Why then is it, why then is it difficult to pull out money, or it's not ideal for me to pull out money from my business, maybe not my capital, but maybe it's my profit, at least from my business account, and use that to address some personal needs? Is that poor financial management or mismanagement, as it were, in your world, in the business world?
Well, this is a very broad topic, but I'll answer it in a way that can easily fit for what we're doing right now. So the first thing is, before you go into business, there are capacity building trainings that you must engage in, and one of them is financial management, proper financial management. 40% of businesses right now in Nigeria have come up, or part of the surveys that was done, we found out that 40% of businesses have the problem of financial literacy, which is proper cash flow. Now, you might think you know about money, but until you begin to learn how cash flow is meant to be recorded and follow through in business, there will be problem. You must be able to identify where money is leaking in your business and where money needs to be pumped into your business. It's not about what you like. It's about the service you are providing for your community. Now, the thing is, when you are a founder, when you are a creator, you come up with the idea for a business. It comes into your mind. You know that there is money to be infused into that business. And so therefore, the first sets of monies you are making in that business, you ought to understand that a large chunk of it should go back into the business to actually give it the strength that it needs to have. And if you started a business, this is Nigeria. You started a business because you're a little broke and you just want to make money and spend it. You need to understand that proper financial management should inform you that you should begin to pay yourself a certain salary. Now, that salary might not be so robust at the beginning, but a portion of your funds should go back into the business so that that business keeps going. If you take all the funds out and use it on pleasures, or even if needs arises and you use your business funds, how is that business going to grow? It's going to die right from its inception. And so that's part of the problem why, like you said, most businesses, 50% of startups die in the first 1 year. It's part of the major problem. Is not because they do not have money, it's because they did not manage what came in properly.
So I shouldn't start thinking of next week Sunday now, because maybe I've worked Monday to Saturday, and I think, I just made one small profit from one sales or one service that I just made or gave, and maybe I should take out time on Sunday to largesse, and spend from that money. That is not wise as a businessman. It depends on how I manage it, right?
And how much money is coming in. But you must definitely, minimum 20 to 40% of what came in must go back, must go back into the business.
True. Let me, while we're still on this whole issue of funding, let me ask a question as regards inadequate financing. Obviously, that is another key aspect of funding, and it's another critical component of whether a business fails or succeeds. How is the business advisory ecosystem, effectively structured to help build the trust and transparency required to connect viable small businesses with today's somewhat suspicious, maybe wealthy, but yet reluctant financiers? Say for instance, I want to expand my small fish farm by small scale aquaculture into maybe processing and exportation, and I clearly need funds to do that. How appropriate, I beg your pardon, would it be to explore maybe a network of angel investors or crowdfunding platforms to grow my business? Does the structure of my business determine the finance options open to me?
Now, that's a very vital question. When it comes to financing or funding businesses, especially in this part of the world, Nigeria here, we must understand that there is a critical thing there. There are things you must meet. There are criteria that you have to meet before an angel investor or a bank or whatever institution is ready to, options you have on the table. There are criteria that they look at. For example, you want to secure a loan from Bank of Industry. Bank of Industry has criteria that you must meet. And most of these criteria you cannot meet on your own. That's why you need a BDSP to help you go through these things and make sure you are well positioned and help you with all the documentation and everything you need. Now, the thing is this. Many of us do not have proper financial documentations. Now, that's one of the major things. You might have registered with all the CAC and everything, institution you need to register with, everything on point. But before an investor looks at you the second time, they want to see your books properly done. They want to make sure that you are not one that when this funding comes, the first thing is you go and marry another wife, or you go and buy a brand new car and begin to show everybody we just got our Series A funding and we're good. So that's where the challenge is. The trust between the investor and the entrepreneur, it has to be properly built. And so in Nigeria, when we begin to focus on the proper things, the key performance indexes, and we are, we tailor make our business to fit into these things, we will not have these challenges or these problems. Now, one thing I'm going to say again is, when you go to get loans from probably BOA, BOI, or any financial institution, banks and all that, you want to get funding from them. They might ask you for a collateral. You want to get a 10 million naira fund, they're asking you to bring 20% down payment, and you do not have it. Now, I like what the federal government has done. The National Credit Guarantee Corporation is taking is taking away 40%, basically. No, that's 60%. They've been able to take away 60%. Government has pumped in funding into that for you to be able to access 50% of that. So it remains 40%. And if your books now are not right, in which we found out that many people, even 40%, they still cannot meet up. Why? Because their books are not right. So an angel investor wants to come to you. Every business from inception, whether you are a startup or you are already in business, you must make sure that your books are right, everything, your documentation is right, even to your address, your personality, then your knowledge of the business. Your knowledge of the business is very key. If I see that you are making money from your business and all that, and your knowledge of that business is not standard, chances are that down the line, you will lose that business to someone who has more knowledge, who has gone for more capacity building, who has developed themselves, and is taking advantage of what we call probably the tech or the micro shifts of the market or the cultural nuances that we have right now. Anybody who's paying attention to that might outrun you in your business. Perhaps they might even start after you because they saw you start it. But if they pay attention to these things, they will run you out of business, and an investor will always pay attention to these things.
Talking about, running out of business or maybe expanding, I would like to ask you two questions, quick questions. I'll need two quick responses because we're totally out of time. My director just informed me we were short our time. First, Doc, is it true that rapid growth itself can be fatal for a small business? In what context is that even possible? And then two, this whole copy syndrome, for businesses that we have in Nigeria. My neighbor opens a sachet water business. He appears to be making it. I quickly go open a sachet business, a sachet water business as well, without understanding the dynamics of the market and, who or where my market is and all of that. And then there is no originality, there is no innovation. How does all of this impact on small businesses, as it were, in Nigeria?
Well, starting from the last question, you've already answered it by yourself. you said there is no originality in it. No, see, the person that initially opened it, perhaps maybe he worked with an organization that has done that for a bit or for a few years. And now he understands the dynamics. He knows the terrain very well. And he has gone into that. He's beginning to, I mean, he just moves into that business and he's good with it. But you saw that it's making money. You don't even understand how he started or what made him start or how he even got his first funding to start. And then you just take money and you jump into it. And there's going to be a serious problem. There are differences between the both of you. Now, when it comes to the copycat kind of thing, we do copy a lot.
Yes.
Nigeria is known for that. But you have to have your own unique selling point. That's why it's called a unique selling point, something that's peculiar to you that nobody else has. It has to be unique to you, and you must present that to the world, and that's what the world is going to see.
Very quickly, the issue of rapid growth and how that
it's a problem. I was coming into that. Rapid growth is dangerous. Organic growth is good. It helps you master and know and understand the business terrain itself, see how it's growing. Rapid growth might be good for those who have been in that field for a bit, that shifted or diversified or into their own sector. Maybe you left someone's business to start your own. You might already understand how to handle it. But rapid growth is dangerous for someone who is just coming into that. You can pump. That is why too much money into that business is dangerous. You might be trying to meet a need that you don't have capacity to handle. And so organic growth is very, very good, as much as it's good to grow rapidly and to go widely, but make sure that you have all the critical stakes to handle that particular kind of thing, because when the storm comes, you might not be able to handle it.
Dr. Valentino Evans, CEO Black Belt Global Consulting, Executive Coach and Consultant, as well as Transformation Leadership Advisor. Thank you so much for coming on Insight. I mean, it's been quite germane. We appreciate your insight on this matter. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Whatever the issues are,
the National Assembly is constitutionally empowered to scrutinize,
however complex or intricate.
We have involved all the academia, the members of the academia. We have involved the academies.
be it government policies or in fact any issue of public concern.
Our job is to help you gain clarity and make sense of it all.
This is not really healthy for our democracy.
There's a lot of aggrievance in terms of who has been in power longest and who becomes the governor of the state.
It's also in the quality of food being consumed.
After all, perception is insight.
And gaining understanding is also getting insight.
Unions rely on media visibility to mobilize support, highlight workplace injustices, and advocate fair labor practices. In recent decades, the rapid evolution of digital media has transformed how unions communicate, organize, and engage with both members and public. Recently, I had a chat with the president, Radio, Television, Theatre and Arts Workers Union, Emeka Kalu. We will also be recalling that conversation. Comrade, thank you so much for joining us on Insights.
Thank you very much, Lizzie.
Now, let's kickstart with your thoughts on this relationship between the media and the union.
Nothing works without the media. The media is like the spice of every meal. The media is like the ingredients you put in anything you're doing. So it's like the hallmark, the pivot. It's something that the wheel on which every other thing rolls in life, and existentialism, like I said, in administration. Because without the media, nobody does anything that anybody will know or hear about. The unions will not be necessary without the media. Who will know there's a union? Who will know there's an association, an assemblage of people without the media? So anybody that really gets the media to the background doesn't like himself or herself or whatever the person is doing, or the person's general existence. So the relationship ought to be cordial, must be cordial, is cordial, will continue to be cordial. And beyond that, if there's anything better than cordiality, that's what a relationship between the media and the union should be. Because it's an assemblage of people who got information about how they were being treated. And how does that information get to them? It got to them through the media. It's the media that will disseminate such proper information to those workers who are suffering, whose maybe take-home pays are not commensurate with the efforts they put, the labor, how they toil. So the media plays a critical role.
We have the use of AI now, we have the use of digital tools now that journalists use in churning out their results, in reports, in getting their reports out there. In what ways do unions use modern media platforms to advance their goals?
The invention of electronic media, they were media, they were communication, because the people, town criers, people who climbed the trees to disseminate information. But they discovered that there are limits to which human voices could go. And they started seeking whatever exploration, how to explore, how to bring something that could have electromagnetic influence and send that information in a cable manner as a wire, which was what led to the invention that broke out from a German engineer called Hayes, Mr. Hayes. Who was the person that made us now have kilohertz, megahertz in radio broadcasting. So with this, initially, we embraced the primordial table banging kind of unionism. We embraced the unionism where picketing, strike, whatever, confrontation became the only means of channeling what we had. You see a child who doesn't speak, a child who doesn't have powers of expression. The only way to express to the parents what he or she needs is by crying, crying or revolting. So at the point when the child grows up and starts talking, you see, no matter how good or bad he or she could transmit, he or she will say something, call it whatever name, but you will know what he or she is trying to say. Yes. Until the vocal prowess will enlarge and whatever he or she will say will get clearer. The clarity will come, you will now understand him or her better. It's that kind of evolution that we're having, that initially we started from analog to digitization came in place. And you don't look for the score of very good, where excellent is possible. Today, we have evolved. We started with vinyl gramophone. From gramophone to play music, turntables came out, and the same vinyl. We started playing with turntables and scratching. From there, the CD, compact disc, came. And not even before compact disc, there was lesser disc came. It was still very big. So they decided that for a DJ, a music presenter, or whatever, to go to work or to go and play, you will have to carry a whole truckload of facilities. So they started making it compact. They started bringing it, it's all improvement, digital improvement. They started making it compact. They got the compact disc. Till then, they now made it soft, to have a soft copy, made it digital. So the soft copy could go into whatever you have and you can carry. That way, the artificial intelligence, the improvement we have, the technological breakthrough that came, scientific exploration came through, and we had the artificial intelligence today. So it's no threat.
Not at all.
It's no threat to anybody, but it's like something that you should embrace, that should be sacrosanct, because it makes the job easier. People thinking that it will come and take away the job from practitioners. No, it's only going to complement it, because who gives it the command? It's the human being. So without human beings, there'll be no AI. AI cannot thrive on its own. Somebody commands it. Somebody is doing a control somewhere. You talk about AI-controlled vehicles. Who is doing that? There's a control room. There's a brain box somewhere being controlled by somebody. You talk now, the telephone we have, you make a call. It goes to Bombay and record. It goes to India. It hits spam in India before it goes anywhere. So with that place, it's heating. There's somebody there. They have the biggest magnetic powers and everything. Your speakers, the best come from there. So that's the technological breakthrough that you talk here. You want to talk to me here as we are in this studio. Both of us, you call me on the phone. He goes to India, hits in India, and comes back here before we talk. So what is it? It's the AI is a must. It's like something we must embrace.
Okay. Now, still on unionism and the media, unionism is important within the media space. What are the challenges confronting unions adopting to digital media environment?
What I would say here is the ability to be flexible is the ability to enjoy life and existence itself. If you think there will be tomorrow, then you work towards tomorrow to be better. There are people who suffered, who trekked to school when they were growing up, who begged for food, who went to school, came back, went to hawk wares so that they will get money with which they will be, their school fees will be paid, or they will also eat at home. Then there are others who have a lot of food. The problem is you see them crying in the morning. What is the problem? The choice of which one to eat, that they're giving them the one they don't like. You see somebody going to attending events or going to work late. What's the problem? What is it? Choice explosion, availability explosion. That he has a lot of clothes, he doesn't know which one to wear. That's why he or she went to work late. Because it's in abundance. Now, people have this, have the opportunity, have what they are used to. It's not always easy to live it unless you have determination. You're determined to succeed, or you have an eye in progress in success. And where you have abundance, you get lazy most of the times. But in the time of need, you explore, you think. So anybody that has an eye on the future wants to improve, wants to get there, gives himself or herself a target, there's no how you will not get digital. We're saying that we clamor to make Ratau a center of excellence where education, trainings will be used as a tool for the overall revival and development of the radio, television person and theater worker or the establishment. Until you have such in mind that for us to be better, we must embrace digitization. It makes it easier. It simplifies it. Yes. Where you would have carried a whole... Why wouldn't a unionist who like, let's say, a broadcaster who is an on-air personality, why wouldn't he or she embrace digitization? When you can carry one bag load of CDs, compact discs, as hardware to the studios so that you can play your songs. But you can load them all in a tablet or whatever and slam. You can have about 3 million tracks in something that is just compact, that you can't even see.
All right, comrade, I know you assumed office not quite long, but there's an issue in the media space, ethics. How do you intend to handle ethical issues?
Well, in our industry, in our union, in broadcasting, in the cultural sector, anything outside the norms are unfashionable. People who clamor for a society, our job behoves on us social reformer status. For you to be a social reformer, you first of all will be disciplined, embrace discipline, and for you to be disciplined, you must do things that will conform with the set down ethics and norms. And how do you get that? For you to get involved in ethical conduct, you first of all, you be proactive, and you be consistent, you be sincere in your approaches, You come to work early, you make your researches, you deliver, then you know what is right and what is wrong. You keep by them, abide by them. When confidence speaks, uncertainty trembles. And broadcasting is all about languages of confidence. So for you to thrive in life, you must do things that will conform with ethics. Those completely groomed in the art are those that compete the pace in this industry.
Okay. All right. Now, comrade, before I let you go, you know, as journalists, most times we clamor for welfare, training, equipping the Nigerian journalists with requisite knowledge in line with global trends. For your tenure, what should we be expecting as members or as journalists willing to thrive?
I signed a social contract. I signed a social contract with all broadcast, media, and cultural workers.
Okay.
In the manifesto, I clamored so much about a special media salary structure because I'm a humanist, I'm a welfarist, and I said not just the welfare package, but the well-being package for our members. I'm so much interested in that, and before I even clamored to this, got to this height, I've been a member of the Special Media Salary Structure Committee. So I've always been there. I've known much about that clamor, and you can see this period. The stakeholders are all interested in ensuring that workers have smiles on their faces. Media and cultural workers smile. You can see a lot of empowerment coming to the media sector. We will ensure. We are fighting. Ever since they came on board, we've been moving around and having critical engagements and strategic partnerships with critical stakeholders also. These are the people that will come together, the NUJ, with the RATAU, every other, all agencies, NT, AFRC, and VON, whichever, all of us are going to come together, special advisors on information, communication, and media across the country. We'll all come together. We are already synergizing to ensure that the government listens and knows that a well-fed, a well-remunerated workforce ensures a greater input and output and performance. And that way, when we are properly fed, we'll be delivering effectively. To give a hungry person food to take, I keep saying this, give a hungry person food to take to a patient in a hospital. He or she stops by the way, takes a little bit of it to assuage his or her thirst and hunger. But you give to a well-fed person food. He or she stops by the road, buys even banana to add, buys whatever supplement to add or additional food to add to that. So we will need to be well-fed so we can deliver effectively.
Comrade, that's very optimistic. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us on Inside this week. Thank you for enlightening us, and we look ahead to better days. Thank you so much.
Liz, I really want to take this opportunity to commend the Nigeria Television Authority, the largest television network in sub-Saharan Africa and globally, especially under the watch of former president of RATAU, Saliu Dembas, who was our former RATAU president, who is the chairman of Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, who is the DG of NTA, because it's like a square peg in a square hole. That's exactly why it's going this way. The Nigeria television is digitized and it's going everywhere. Everybody wants to watch it. Look at all the programs we have here, how well presented they are. This is the CNN of Africa, and I'm glad to associate it with it.
Comrade Emeka Kalu, President RATAU, thank you so much.
Yeah, I like this. You said President RATAU, you didn't say National President. So good, you taught them this. It's President.
Thank you so much, sir.
Whatever the issues are,
the National Assembly is constitutionally empowered to scrutinize,
however complex or intricate.
We We have involved all the academia, the members of the academia. We have involved the academies.
Be it government's policies or in fact any issue of public concern,
Our job is to help you gain clarity and make sense of it all.
This is not really healthy for our democracy.
There's a lot of agreements in terms of who has been in power longest and who becomes the governor of the state.
It's also in the quality of food being consumed.
After all, perception is insight.
and gaining understanding is also getting insight.
And that's it on Insight today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Elizabeth Omori. We'll see you next week. Be good and remain patriotic. Bye for now.